Hey there and welcome back to Summer Songs. I've got Summer of '69 for you by Bryan Adams, and I'm super excited about this because who knew that a song originally written for the electric guitar could sound so good on the ukulele, but we're gonna make it happen. Couple things about this song to know. We're in the key of D, so I wanna zoom you in first and just review some of those chords that you're gonna need. There's the key of D, and then there's also kind of a funky little bridge that brings us into the key of F, but I've got a couple little tips for you. So let's zoom you on in first. Summer of '69 is in the key of D. So our root chord, the D chord here, you gotta smush those fingers together. I've got my first, second, third, my pointer, middle, ring finger, all together on the second fret of G, C, and E. So you're gonna start with that string closest to you. Gonna sound like that. Sometimes people use other combinations of their fingers. They kind of move them around in different ways. And so feel free to experiment with whatever feels good for you naturally. Another chord that's going to come up in this is the B minor chord. And you've got a couple options here. The real legitimate B minor chord looks like this. I've barred the second fret with my pointer finger. I'll add that middle finger for a little extra oomph. Then I'm going to reach my ring finger out to what's the fourth fret, or 2 frets up from the bar on the G string there, the string closest to me. Sounds like that. Nice, beautiful minor chord. However, this is not an easy thing to do with your hand. So what you can also do is just leave that ring finger off of there. And now what you're playing is a B minor 7 chord, and that will fit in just fine in this particular song. So you have a little bit of wiggle room there. If the bar here feels intimidating, you can take all 4 fingers, just like you did on that D chord, add the pinky to the second fret there. So you've got the B minor 7. So you've got all 4 fingers going across, each one on each string of the second fret. So you've got that option for B minor. Whew, those are the 2 toughest ones. Then we've also got the G chord. This can feel a little weird if you're just learning it for the first time. I've got my pointer finger on the second fret of C. I've moved my middle finger over to the second fret of A, so they're sort of parallel to each other here. And then I take my ring finger and I scooch it in between the 2 fingers to the 3rd fret of the E string. Sounds like that. And again, this is a chord that sometimes people move their fingers around. Sometimes they prefer to go more perpendicular to the instrument, and they'll swap out their pointer with their middle so that the pointer finger is on A and the middle finger is on C. You can also play it like that. That feels terrible to me, so I'm going to go back to what feels good for me, and you can find what feels good for you. You've got a couple options there as well. And then finally, we've got the A chord. That's kind of the final chord in the mix. And to make that, I'm putting my pointer finger on the 1st fret of the C string and my middle on the 2nd fret of the G string there. And that makes a nice, solid A chord. And those are the basic chords you need for the key of D. Now, there is a bridge that comes up in this song, and so we are going to need the F chord, which you're probably familiar with from other songs in the key of C, but just a quick reminder, my pointer finger is on the 1st fret of E, and I reach my middle finger over to the 2nd fret of G. And then from there, I'm going to go to a B flat chord, and this is the tough one. You've got 2 options again. I try to make it easy for you. So the real legitimate B flat chord looks like this. From the F chord, I'm taking my pointer finger and I'm flattening it so that I'm covering up the 1st fret of the E and the A string. I'm going to move my middle finger over to the 2nd fret of C, and then my ring finger is going to come into the 3rd fret of G. So I have kind of a stair step here going where I come in and down a fret and in and down a fret in that way. And as you can see, it's not easy. You need a little bit more power from your thumb. You might also be pushing on your ukulele back down here against your body, so you create a little bit of momentum for yourself. If that feels totally inaccessible to you now, here's my little trick for you. Just leave the pointer finger where it was. And you're going to create kind of a jazzy version of the B flat chord. And I promise when we play it in the song, it won't make that much of musical difference that it will affect how you experience the song. That's what we're going for, right? The overall experience. So you can just leave your pointer finger, middle, and ring in this stair step formation here on the E, C, and G strings, and leave that A string open, just like that. And then finally, at the very end, the last chord you will encounter is good old C. Oh, it's gonna feel so good with that ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string there. And that's all you need. All right, once you've got your chords, let's take a look at the structure of the song and kind of break down each section. Verse starts out, 2 chords. Love it. just D and A back and forth, 8 counts each. Let's just kind of warm up with that and get those chords underneath our fingers, and we'll talk about strumming. 1, 2, starting on D now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to A. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 back to D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and A. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause right there. Now, some of you are going to maybe feel like all 8 of those strums, having to switch so quickly at the end of those 8 strums to the other chord, is going to feel a little tough. And I always recommend that you leave out a couple of those last strums to give yourself the time to get there. So if the key of D is new to you, try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, switch to A, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, switch back to D, right? You can always leave off a couple of those strums at the end to give yourself enough time to get to the chord, but still stay in the context of the rhythm. Now, on the other hand, you may feel like an old pro at the key of D, and you may want to work in some of the technique that Bryan Adams does on his electric guitar. What he does is, instead of 8 beats, or instead of those, like that standard 4 count that we do, he does a double time. He does what are called 8th notes in between, kind of like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Gives it some of that tension, right? And in addition to that, that may be enough just to kind of work on those 8s. You want to make sure that that you keep your hand nice and tight into, you don't have to work too hard, right? You want to keep it nice and close in, and you don't even have to strum all of the strings the whole time. What I notice he does is that he really emphasizes that first beat with all the strings, but then he kind of comes back to it and just goes really soft and may not even be hitting all the strings. So you may not need to do that either. Definitely emphasize that first beat if you can. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, right? Or even better, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. The other thing he does is he brings in this sort of syncopated 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right? Can you hear it a little bit? I got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. It's a little bit tough to carry throughout the whole thing, but listen for it at the beginning of the song, and I think you'll hear what I mean, and give it a try. See if you can find that beat. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or if you want to break up the 4 into 8, you can also think of it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not to confuse our 4s and our 8s too much, but that's a little thing you can add to it. So I only dive into that because the verse in and of itself is fairly simple, just going back and forth between that D and the A. Let's try it. Whatever level you're ready for, whether you're just doing that 4 strums and even giving yourself a little extra time to get between the chords, or if you want to add a little bit of that grittiness, that technique at the end. Let's give it a try. Let's try verse 1 and 2, and then we'll pause right before the chorus. 1, 2, starting on D, and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3. Here we go. I got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69. Me and some guys from school, we had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit, Jody got married. I should have known we'd never get far. Pause right there. So that's your first, that's your verse pattern. And that happens pretty much every time we go back to the verse. Now when we get to the chorus, we're going to expand our chords in the key of D. You got B minor, which remember you can play as a bar chord if you like, or you can play it straight across like a B minor 7, whichever feels good. We got 4 beats of B minor, then we go to 4 beats of A, 4 beats of D, and 4 beats of G. right? And again, like before, you can kind of fill in with as many strums as you want. If you're going full out, you're going to try the calypso pattern like this. To A, to D, to G. But again, if you are new to the key of D, I would recommend you go the super dramatic route and just give it a really good down strum and hold it for 4 beats. Oh wait, I gotta find my B minor. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to G. Just try that with me. B minor and 1, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to G. And what that allows you to do is to give yourself those full 4 beats to think ahead. Oh yeah, what's that chord I'm going to next after this one? Gives you enough time to get there. And then as you're ready, you can sneak in some more strums. Let's try 2 strums each, starting on that B minor. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3 to A, 1, 2, 3 to D, 1, 2, 3 to G, 1, 2. Let's try it again. B minor, 2, 3 to A, 1, 2, 3 to D, 1, 2, 3 to G. And when you're ready, add 4 strums. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 to A, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to G. And then this calypso. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Let's add the words. Oh, when I look back now, that summer seemed to last forever. Oh, and if I had the choice, yeah, I'd always wanna be there. Those were once strung, the best days of, and back to D. There, we kind of cut it short in the middle there to get back to the best days of my life. Back to the D, and then we're back to the verse pattern. So I hope that those layers show you a bunch of options. You do not have to start off playing that calypso pattern and singing along with me. I give it to you there as a context. Again, if you're new to the key of D, go super dramatic, right? Just hold those chords out for the 4 beats and give yourself the time to get to the chords that you need to. And then as you're ready, work some more of the right hand rhythm in there. When we come back to the verse 3, I'm probably just gonna stick with the calypso strum pattern. I'm not gonna go back to the 8 count. We're gonna save that for the end. So we play through the verse, and then we've got another chorus, just different words, but the chords are all the same. Let's look ahead to the bridge. That's where it gets a little gnarly. But remember that I showed you when you go from the F to the B flat chord, you can do the full-on B flat. But if you're new to the key of F, you might want to try a version of B flat that I kind of like, because I like some more of those jazzy sounding chords. They're not so perfect sounding. You can just kind of have the stair step model here and leave that A string open. And it fits really well. What's nice about the bridge pattern is we're doing this sort of like alternating pattern, if you will. We go from F to B flat, we go to C, we come back to B flat, we go to F, we come back to B flat and to C. It's kind of somewhat predictable. And there are 4 beats each until we get to the end where we're gonna hold the C out for 8 beats. Let's just try it. We're gonna go the dramatic route. Since this is new, we're gonna just do 1 strum for 4 beats, starting on F. 1, 2, ready, and F, 2, 3, B flat, and 1, 2, 3 to C. 1, 2, 3, back to B flat, 2, 3, and back to F, 2, 3, to B flat, 2, 3, then to C, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it all again. Maybe 2 strums. 1, 2, 3, B flat, and 1, 2, 3 to C. 1, 2, 3, back to B flat, 2, 3, 4, and F, 2, 3, to B flat, 2, 3, and then to C, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it with 4 strums this time, and F, 2, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, back to B flat, and then to F. You're totally grooving on this now. B flat, 2, 3, and then to C. One more time, we're gonna add that calypso can add the words now. Back to F. And we were killing time, we were young and restless, needed to unwind. I guess nothing can last forever, forever. Back to D, no. And now we're back to the verse chords. Switch to A. We're going to go back to our quick strums like this. And now the times are changing, everything that's come and gone. Sometimes when I play that old sixth string, I think about you, wonder what went wrong. Calypso, standing on your mama's porch. You told me it would last forever. And pause right there. I know it's really hard to stop mid-song, but I hope that that little progression showed you kind of something you can do with the arrangement. We come out of the bridge and we, you know, have this really big, strong strum and we're coming off and feeling great. When you come back to that verse 4, bring down the volume a little bit and come back to that really kind of intense, right, as you add the lyrics back in. A lot of musicians do that. They kind of like bring it back to the quiet energy of the beginning, and then before you know it, we're back in the last chorus and we're going full throttle again, right? So just a couple little arrangement notes to just sort of make it fun for you as you go along. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole song. If you are ready to finally just play it through straight through, you're ready to move on, but you also might want to stop here and go back and review different sections of it if you're having trouble with them. Take a moment just to review all the chords again, make sure you feel really good about it. Go back and listen to his, go watch the video. It's great. The music video for this song is really fun. Just kind of get it in your ears a little bit before we play through it. And then when you are ready, I will be here and we will play it straight through. Here we go.